All hell is breaking loose as Ukraine's President Zelenskyy has checkmated Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin of Russia. Moscow is on fire. Moscow is burning down. Zelenskyy utilizing long-range capabilities now, including state-of-the-art drones and hitting critical Moscow infrastructure, which was previously touted as being the most highly guarded areas in all of Russia, and Zelenskyy and Ukraine have been able to penetrate it. Slava Ukraini. Now, here is what we are learning. The Kyiv Independent reports. Following attacks on Moscow, Zelenskyy touts a shift in the balance on the battlefield, signaling more deep strikes into the heart of Russia. Remember when Donald Trump said, Zelenskyy, you don't have the cards. You need to listen to me. And Zelenskyy says, what are you talking about? I don't have the cards. One day a war is going to come to you and you're not going to know how to deal with it. We should be allies, but if this is the way you want to go, Donald, then that's the way you want to go. Now let's talk about what has gone down. Ukraine Security Service confirmed on May 17th that it conducted an operation jointly with Ukraine's armed forces, targeting military, industrial, and fuel infrastructure in the Moscow Oblast, including the Moscow oil refinery, as well as air defense systems and infrastructure at the Belbek military airfield in occupied Crimea. Now you can see some of these drones almost taunting Russia's air defense that are defenseless, that were unable to stop these drones as these drones loitered over Moscow, finding the perfect targets and striking. Let me show you some of the video from Moscow right now. You can see what it looks like. As I said, no hyperbole, Moscow is literally burning down. Fires can be seen burning earlier in the day at infrastructure sites across the Russian capital of Moscow, at least one of its oil depots following this large-scale combined attack using cruise missiles and drones by Ukraine. So many targets in Moscow and the surrounding region were on fire. Take a look at it right here. Another angle as well, as Jay in Kyiv writes, for the first time, Ukraine has managed to hit the Moscow oil refinery, the most protected facility in the country. Multiple strikes, yes? And as one commentator noted, there is a very real chance Ukraine will end the war if this continues. Another commentator says, Moscow has never looked so hot. Right, Donald? The hottest country. So hot, so hot. Donald Trump associates with losers, and Zelenskyy taking a major advantage on the battlefield. You can look right here as these Ukrainian drones essentially flying in formation when striking Moscow, Russia this morning. At this point, they are mocking the Russian air defense capabilities, another commentator noted. No rest for Moscow, as a road has not only been caught on fire, but is now sinking due to its shoddy construction. This apparently occurred without even Ukraine's help as it relates to the road. Take a look at more footage of a major fire following a drone attack in the Zelenograd, Moscow Administrative District. The Elma Technopark was likely the target of the attack. Companies that manufacture electronics are based there. The war is finally coming to Russia, and among other things that are burning in Russia in the morning, fires at Moscow's massive Solengorsk oil facility continue to spread. Now, amid Russian social media being flooded with the videos that I'm sharing with you of the damage to Moscow inflicted by Ukrainian drones and missiles, Russians are now also beginning to point out that it was only last week that it was made illegal to publish news, photos, or videos of exactly this type of stuff, punishable by lengthy prison terms. It's considered terrorism in Moscow, but we've got the footage here. Putin's toothless government wears no clothes. Not only that, But when Russia's air defense system was activated, it was so shoddy and so faulty that the civilian deaths in Moscow have come from Russia's air defense missiles striking apartment complexes in Moscow, as Jay in Kyiv notes. With 3 people already confirmed dead across Moscow, locals are not happy as Russian air defenses continue to successfully attack apartment buildings citywide. Now, as Moscow burns, as Jay in Kyiv says, one of the drunkest members of Putin's press team comes out with yet another threat to nuke the entire planet. Sounds a lot like Donald Trump. According to subparagraph D of paragraph 19 of the presidential decree, says the press secretary for Russia's foreign ministry, on the approval of the fundamental state policy of the Russian Federation in the field of nuclear deterrence, the recent reliable information about the massive launch of aerospace attacks means. Then it goes and says that they could be activating their nuclear deterrent capabilities. As another account writes, this was a bad day for Russian air defenses in Moscow. The Russian defense ring around Moscow was penetrated at multiple points. Ukrainian drones struck targets from Durykino in the north, Zelenograd, Sheremetyevo International Airport, and Kimiki in the northwest, and even reached the Moscow refinery in the southeast of Russia's heavily protected capital. Now, Zelensky's been posting video footage as well of the Ukrainian missile and drone strikes. And here's what Zelensky writes. Our responses to Russia's prolongation of the war and its attacks on our cities and communities are entirely justified. This time, Ukrainian long-range sanctions, that's what he refers to the Ukrainian drone strikes and missiles. He goes, if the U.S. is going to take away sanctions, we'll impose long-range sanctions. This time, Ukrainian long-range sanctions reach the Moscow region, and we are clearly telling the Russians, their state must end this war. Ukrainian drone and missile manufacturers continue their work. I am grateful to the Security Service of Ukraine and all defense forces of Ukraine for their precision. The distance from Ukraine's state border is over 500 kilometers. The concentration of Russian air defense in the Moscow region is the highest, but we are overcoming it. Glory to Ukraine, Slava Ukraini.
As someone with a very active online presence, privacy is incredibly important to me. Our personal information is constantly being collected, bought, and sold online, and in today's world of surveillance and data breaches, that should concern everyone. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Delete Me does all the hard work of wiping you and your family's personal information from hundreds of data broker websites. You simply tell them what information you want removed, and their experts take it from there. They also send you regular privacy reports so you can see exactly what they found and what they removed. And I love this. It's not a one-time service. They're constantly monitoring and removing personal information that you don't want on the internet. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me, now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/Midas and use promo code Midas at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/Midas and enter code Midas at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/Midas, code Midas, MEIDAS.
And here's the video that Zelensky made. He did it in Ukrainian. I'm going to play it for you, translated into English. Let's play this video.
Today, the Ukrainian Defense Forces, our security service, and our intelligence carried out a large-scale operation against the Moscow region. A solid wave of our deep strikes. We are ensuring Ukraine has this capability. The distance to the targets this time was over 500 kilometers. This is significant, especially since the Moscow region is the most heavily defended by Russian air defense systems. Above all else, they are fiercely protecting their central seat of power. Yet, despite their efforts, Ukrainian long-range strikes are already beginning to reach it. As I said yesterday, Russians need to think about their own oil refineries, their oil facilities, and their industrial sites, rather than how to ruin the lives of other nations in Ukraine, as such as Moldova, or any other neighboring country. Also, our defense forces have struck targets in the temporarily occupied territory over the past 24 hours, particularly in Crimea. And this long-range capability of ours is something that is significantly changing the situation and overall the world's perception of Russia's war. Many partners are now signaling that they see what is happening and how much things have changed, both in terms of attitudes toward this war and the reach of Russian targets on Russian territory. The war is quite predictably returning to its home port. And this is a clear signal that it is not worth messing with Ukraine and waging an unjust war of aggression against another nation, specifically against the people.
Now, as Moscow burns, Donald Trump is making social media posts of himself walking with an alien, as California Governor Gavin Newsom says to Donald Trump's AI image. The President of the United States just posted this. Do you think that he has lost it? Answer, yes. And United States military equipment is burning down. We also saw an Israeli nuclear site burning down. We also saw a UAE nuclear power plant burning down over the past 24 to 48 hours. Remember the video I did yesterday morning? Donald Trump's panics as 2 nuclear sites are hit. I know corporate news don't want to talk about this. What corporate news too busy talking about, I don't who knows, Golden Ballroom, why we need to build Golden Ballrooms. I don't know what state regime media is reporting, but here's what we also learned. In addition to all of those sites being struck, Iranian and regional media outlets, including Iran's Fars news agency, are reporting the downing of a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone over Yemen's Marib province, the key oil and gas region located in northern central Yemen today. The claim in the footage has not yet been confirmed by U.S. Central Command or Yemen's Houthis. The Houthis have a documented history of targeting the $30 million General Atomics aircraft, shooting down dozens of MQ-9 Reapers during a recent U.S. campaign, increasingly by using locally manufactured surface-to-air missiles. Actually, man comes from China, but who knows? The U.S. has previously acknowledged some losses while declining to confirm others, and the open source intelligence OSINT, Open Source Intelligence Defender, also shows the wreckage that's visible. You can see it circulating. It's clearly an MQ-9 Reaper. It was carrying these AGM-11-4 RNX Hellfire missiles known as the Flying Jinsus for their blade deployment warhead designs. And you see it burning. So that's what's going on in the U.S. And this all brings me back to that meeting in the Oval Office. Donald Trump's golden bordello of mafioso extortion. And you remember this moment when Donald Trump went to Zelenskyy and said, you don't have the cards, you don't have the cards. And Zelenskyy predicted precisely what was going to happen. Let's play this clip.
Sure. First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you, far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went.
Or I could show you numerous clips like this when Donald Trump yelled at Zelenskyy and said, Zelensky's better get moving. Russia wants to make a deal. You're going to miss a great opportunity. You got to do a deal. Deal. The guy is so weird about deals. You got to do a deal. I got to do a deal. You're a loser. You're a loser. Shut up with the deals. Stand for values and principles. If you're going to do a deal, then do it. Stop talking about a deal. You know, it's like me talking about dinner. I want to eat dinner. I'm going to eat dinner. I'm going to eat dinner. Okay, dude, shut up. Just eat dinner and shut up. Stop talking about deals, you loser. Here, play this clip.
Negotiations, we will still demand Zelenskyy has to hold elections before summer.
Well, Zelensky's going to have to get moving. Russia wants to make a deal, and Zelensky's going to have to get moving. Otherwise, he's going to miss a great opportunity. He has to move.
Or remember then when you had Zoran Mamdani in the Oval Office and Donald Trump's like, remember, I told Zelenskyy you better do a deal. You don't have the cards. Dude, you're so cliche. Can you come up with something new? Here, play this clip.
I wanted to ask you also about this Ukraine plan. President Zelenskyy said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its dignity. There's been criticism that this deal...
You mean he doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of...
He'll have to like it. And if he doesn't like it, then, they should just keep fighting, I guess.
The suggestion that you made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it, that the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine.
At some point he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. This war never would have happened. I inherited this war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been the good deal. That could have been done too if you had the right president, but you didn't have the right president.
And then finally, our friend Ben Hodges, former U.S. Army Europe commander, lead general in Europe. He's retired now. He said, I remember a little over a year ago when Donald Trump and Vance yelled at Zelenskyy and said, you don't have the cards. And look where we are now. Play the clip.
It was a little over a year ago that President Zelenskyy was in the Oval Office getting yelled at by the president and the vice president, and this ridiculous assertion that you got no cards and all of that. And here we are today where Ukraine is helping countries in the Gulf defend themselves against Iranian drones. And they probably are going to have Ukrainian defense industry being supported by Saudi money and money from the Emirates to purchase Ukrainian defense capabilities, even though the American president said we don't need anything from them. So what an amazing turn of events.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's go, Zelenskyy. Powerful, powerful indeed. We'll keep you posted every step of the way. And thanks so much for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the Midas Touch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.